Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. On this episode, we are joined by Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza podcast. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast, a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. We are happy to have one of our most favorite co-hosts today, Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza podcast. He is a 3-time nominee for the Best African Diasporan Podcast by the APVA, and he is from the Republic of Kenya in East Africa. He is also a presenter at the 2024 Afros and Audio Podcast Festival. Welcome, Sambaza.
Thank you. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you.
Nice. Ready for the show today?
I am. So looking forward to it. Able to bring you guys a great guest again. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in and tapping into the content. Our title is Understanding Domestic Violence and Toxic Relationships. So getting a little serious in the subject matter, but definitely something that our community needs to understand and have more information. So glad that we could put together a program on the platform about this. Your thoughts on the topic?
Well, I think it's one of those topics that has been coming. It's been in the making, and my guess is this is the right time to have a conversation about it based on, well, it's due. It's been due.
For sure. I think on the calendar of the different types of month for this, a month for that, it's coming up soon. I think it's acknowledged and recognized in October, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely, like you said, it is time. These things, there's been some major news stories and, feature films that have had the subject matter, involved. And so I think it's timely, and it's one of those things that, sometimes you don't want to talk about it, things that people are going through and they don't want to talk about, but let's, crack that open and wake it up and have those conversations like, we like to do. So
I think it's in the month of October.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So I think we're getting started and having this conversation a bit early so people can have a chance to reflect on it once the time comes.
For sure. And I know, and like in my city, people do get involved. There's walks and celebrations and survivor acknowledgments and lots of things to recognize the month of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So when time comes around, you definitely want to encourage people to see what's going on in your neck of the woods, your town, and get involved or read up or share inspirational pieces maybe on your social media, for example.
Yep.
Okay, and so we did mention that we had a guest today that will help us navigate this particular subject matter. So let's introduce our guests. We do want to, again, welcome all of you guys checking us out, either on the replay or when this comes to audio, to Woke by Accident and the Sambaza podcast collaboration. And so today we have the privilege of speaking with a guest who's actually been on before. She is a licensed mental health counselor and the owner of Growth Empower Transform Therapy, LLC. She brings a wealth of experience and deep commitment to mental health, specializing in critical areas such as domestic violence, coping skills, and grief. Through her practice, she has touched the lives of many, guiding individuals through some of life's most challenging moments. And so we're definitely glad to bring her into the conversation that we're going to have today. As we dive into today's episode, we'll be focusing on the urgent and often difficult topic of, like we said, domestic violence, its impact on our communities, and the pathways to healing. It's all about healing, guys. We've been talking about mental health, and this is another way it can be impacted. So our expert will help us and offer invaluable insights into how we can support those being affected and work toward breaking that cycle of abuse. So, without further ado, please welcome Miss Denise D. Moore.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Jen. Hi, Sambaza. Thank you for having me on the show again.
Yes, thank you for sure.
All right. Well, we'll start right off the bat. I think the point we're trying to do is to understand domestic violence and toxic relationships. We think that it's important to define this or these topics that we're talking about. So please share what domestic violence and toxic relationships are. This includes various forms they may take, either physical, emotional, psychological, and what people really don't talk about much, financial.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, with domestic violence, it's also called intimate partner violence as well. It can take place in a family or someone that you're really close with or someone that you reside with. And that's a lot of aggression. The aggression can be physical, as you said, financial, psychological, emotional, also sexual as well. And so it does cause a lot of distress onto the victim. And toxic relationships, just want to put a disclaimer out there. Just because someone may have toxic ways and tendencies does not mean that they're automatically a narcissist. You have to be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder either by a licensed mental health counselor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a licensed clinical social worker or a licensed marriage and family therapist. I cannot just, on a whim say, oh, you're a narcissist. No. Because, there are so many people that call me and my colleagues saying, oh, my such and such said I'm a narcissist and I need help. That's not true. But toxic traits and toxic tendencies, a lot of individuals are minimized. Their boundaries are crossed. Their self-esteem is made to feel really low. There's isolation that takes place from your friends and your family and sometimes your workplace. You're made to feel as though you have to depend on this other person. And sometimes it can be commingled with codependency as well. And the victim in both instances can have a fear of their life.
Oh, and just before we go on, I'd like to put this out there to anyone who feels or is in an abusive relationships and need help. There's a national sexual assault hotline, and you can call, which is available 24 hours. You can call 1-800-656-4673. That's the number that we'd like to put out there if you feel that you're in such a type of relationship before we continue. All right, let's go on.
Yes.
Excellent.
Absolutely. And they also have the National Domestic Violence Hotline that's out there as well. Or you can dial 988 as well just to get some assistance.
Oh, by the way, one more thing.
Yes.
There's a hand signal that is used, right?
I've seen it at times on social media. I am not sure how true that is. I cannot even tell you what the hand signal is.
Okay.
But that's something that, for more research to really just look into.
All right.
Oh, that is interesting. Okay. And then, so there are some statistics that we located on the subject matter that we wanted to have Ms. Moore share about. This one in particular, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence. And so this can include intimate partner contacting, sexual violence, stalking, and there's other examples, but just that particular statistic in particular, wanted to talk about that. 1 in 4 women, 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence. So that's someone that you're in a relationship with.
Yes, and another thing to note is that domestic violence and or intimate partner violence also affects families. So parents can also cause that violence and harm on their children as well. Like there are stories that we hear in our therapy rooms and pretty sure medical offices of the child is maybe 18 or 17 and their parent is still physically abusing them and financially abusing them. Those are also tied into that category. And that's just the statistics that is known. So often, these numbers, these people are, it's not reported. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the women to report it, and it's embarrassing for the men to report it as well. Like
Yes.
across this earth, there are so many shelters for women, children. However, you don't really see or know shelters for men. So when we have men in that situation, it's very hard for us to assist them with seeking an outside place to reside because those doors are not always open to the men.
Definitely. And since you mentioned reporting, there's a statistic that speaks to that. So this, and this is from the NCADV, this particular statistic, only 34% of people who are injured by intimate partners receive medical care for their injuries. So that means that they're not going to the hospital for their, wounds or injuries that they suffer. And that's a significant number, 34%.
34%. It's very low. There's a fear that the victims have when they're in that situation. Because they have already been isolated from friends and or family, or if the friends or family know, and because the victim has not taken upon themselves to exit that situation, they're often blamed. And so what the outside individuals don't understand is there is a fear that have taken place. We have seen so many individuals lose their lives attempting to leave, or who have already left. So many individuals who have already left that situation, their ex-partner will find them and will come and will delete them or end the children or really, do some type of physical harm to them. So it's a very dangerous and delicate situation for even the victim to go ahead and speak up and speak out against their perpetrator.
Definitely. Stay in tune with a lot of news stories. Obviously, for the podcast, we've covered a lot of news stories, and I know there's been some locally here in St. Louis. That people have went through this, so it hits home for sure, and it's very I want to say shocking, but I mean we don't want to be shocked, but it is kind of, I guess, startling and alarming, I guess is the word.
Very much so. And so many individuals, they're not educated on what a healthy or an unhealthy relationship is. So people are walked into that situation if it's a romantic situation. Now with children and parents, that the children didn't choose their parents. That could be something that's learned by the parents, and the children ultimately suffers.
I know this one is deeply faceted because we're just generalizing it. And I remember we were sitting down and having a conversation about it. And there are various, we if we were to talk about this, it has to be broken down to the men, then you have the women, and then we'll talk about, the type of violence it is. Then you talk about the victim and then the person, the aggressor. It has so many instances, so we're just not going to cover all of them. We're just going to figure out one, just take one at a time, and then if we have any questions, maybe we revisit this issue again. Now, Jen, you said we should not be, we don't get shocked. I think we need to get shocked. We need to get shocked because once you get used to it, then that becomes a problem, because that's the part where we say, oh well, it's happened. So getting shocked, I think, is one of the things that we need to have, so that it kind of hits us back to realize what we're dealing with, or the ramifications of what's going on, families that are affected, what's happening on the background. My curious thing, and I don't know, this is not on a medical standpoint, but have there been any reasons as to why a person would go after somebody who's left? Because, I mean, if somebody decides they want to walk out, what's your dealings to have them come back? That's one thing. Maybe touch on it a little bit.
There is a power and control wheel that's out there on the internet, and that's exactly what it is: power and control. when you leave, you're standing up for yourself, you're putting up your boundaries, you're enforcing that, you're letting them know that you have support, you have a backbone, if you will, and you are no longer their property. So that person gets upset. It's a rejection. That is not handled well. So that I'll show you, or if I can't have you, no one will. Or
Mhm.
I'm going to get you. There's so many, instances and stories out there that's like that is very much disheartening. And then by the time the authorities come to regulate the crime, many times it may have been too late. We hear stories of a restraining order is not enough because it's
Mhm.
just a piece of paper. Many victims really attempt to get away and really believe that they are in an undisclosed location. However, there are trackers that the perpetrator will put either on the car or apps in the phone. There's just
Mhm.
so many things that happen such a dangerous time. There's someone close to me and my family. She left
Mhm.
and he took her life. So
Mhm.
at this point, we're just waiting for justice to be done. But it's a very dangerous time and situation.
Yeah, you mentioned
Right.
isolating from your friends and family, and I think there's also sometimes a manipulation of your friends and family. When you talked about walking away, my mind instantly goes to the movie about Tina Turner and the scene where she's trying to, pack the kids up early morning while he's asleep, and her own mom just in conversation, he's pumping the mother for information, and of course, oh yeah, she get over here, and I can't tell you, I related to that little part because that was probably something that a family member or that would do. Oh yeah, she over here. Oh yeah, she just texted me, and we don't know what we're doing by sharing, but there's a manipulation. Can we speak to that
Oh
part?
yeah, I say those individuals have their PhD in manipulation, and they just look for prey. However, once you know that's what the situation is, hopefully those family members will want to love you and support you and
Mhm.
to help you get out. But these are individuals that are very much charming around other
Mhm.
people until that door is closed, and you'll just never
Definitely.
know. Just never know.
That's true. And so I guess knowing that, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, like you say, you may want to be mindful what we share about people in our circle. You know what I mean? Someone starts asking a whole lot of questions, and just antennas may need to go up, perhaps. So
Absolutely. Or if you see your friends in a situation, and if you're able to pull them to the side, not in front of people, but just pull them to the side and ask a question, and just to see, and also stay in that person's lives. I know when I was in that situation, the person I was with really wanted me to eliminate all of my friends, and I was like, no, I didn't do it, and I'm so glad I didn't because they drove a wedge between many friends that I had. I didn't know they were
mhm.
tracking my phone or anything like that. Someone else told me, and I was like, oh, no wonder you knew all of these conversations. I'm thinking I'm having private conversations about exiting. And, every single thing, like every step I made, he was already like 3 steps ahead.
Mhm.
So just knowing that I will, not, and being strong enough not to just eliminate all of those friendships, but to keep those people close to you.
That's true. And with the manipulation and sharing of information, I just thought of a memory that I kind of like literally suppress, and I don't, share a whole lot of personal information, but I do, had a family member that went through something like that. I was a child at the time, and, I was manipulated into sharing information, which, caused, different things that happen. But because I'm a little kid not knowing, oh, of course, I'm
Absolutely.
spilling the beans,
Absolutely.
and that's so they use children in this manipulation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
They will use anybody. They will use anybody. Again, they have their PhD in manipulation.
that is so true.
So,
Yeah.
you have a personal story of having gone through it.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, sorry to hear
Absolutely.
that.
I appreciate that. And so one thing I had to learn is those the red and green flags of a healthy relationship because I didn't know. Because if
Mhm.
if I knew, I wouldn't have been there or been there too long. And plus, I had my daughter in that situation. So when I said when I got out, when I was beat out of that apartment, I was able to share it with not only my daughter, I made sure her friends knew and other people. Like, these are the signs that you recognize. These are the, if someone is putting you down, if someone is trying to say they want love bombing, what we call it, spend so much time with you and the family and just you two, which can be healthy in a way, but when it begins to get unhealthy and it's too much, and you're being made to feel guilty when you're trying to spend time with your friends or your family, that's another red flag. Also just overstepping their boundaries, eavesdropping on phone calls, really trying to track, everything and your every single move, to the point where you start asking questions. And again, they're so manipulative that they will just, finesse that thing to be like, no, I'm just tripping. I don't even know why. And it happens to men and it happens to women.
Okay. And then, Sambaza, I think we're into your segment here with the red flags. So,
Yeah.
Yep,
Now,
absolutely.
when we talk about domestic violence, now I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back into the rhythm here. Okay. It has a significant. It has a actually domestic violence has some significant economic impact. Now, this regards to the costs of medical care and then mental health services, also
Yes.
lost productivity at work. Um, it actually costs about 8.3 million, not million, but $1 billion annually in the US for all those costs. And this was based on a research by Institute for Women's Policy
Mm-hmm.
Research.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason why we go into the economic impact is because of what it does to the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in some way, this affects the reason why people don't come out and say what's going on. Because remember, when you're going for medical care, that means it's going to be a cost either to you, but in retrospect, you're actually costing the the government. Two,
Absolutely.
you're also not showing up to work, which means you're losing money which could have been going to the family and helping yourself. But again, that's losing man hours to the company. It's a secondary thing. And then also the fact that when you miss work, you tend to be questioned as to where were you, and having to show up there and say, hey, I'm okay. But you could not be okay. Remember, sometimes when it's physical, um, it's really one of those things that people don't even want to talk about it when you're at
Mm-hmm.
work. I've been through two instances. I think I've talked to Jen about this on a private conversation, where people have come to work and you can see they have a black eye, and you know that something happened. It's a very difficult conversation to have. These are people maybe you even laugh around and have these nice conversations. Uh, I'll end there and ask you about your opinion regarding that economic impact, and
Yeah.
if there's any way we could go around it and make it much better, uh, in terms of having to prevent.
Mm,
I think preventing it with the money that could have been saved.
absolutely. So I'll just speak to here in America because I'm not sure about other countries. Here in America, we have to go to work. We have to show up, even if we're sick. We have to get it together to perform and complete our duties. We only receive so much of paid time off before it's looked at as, I don't know if this job is right for you. Individuals can complete the Family Medical Leave Act or FMLA paperwork to see if it's approved. Also, that has to be approved by your employer. Questions will be asked again, or short term disability. However, that individual they will still feel that economic impact. Homelessness occurs. On evictions happen. So something happened, you're evicted, you don't have the money, you can't get into the apartment. The children may get taken away. They're impacted. You may have to live with family. It may be foster care placement. There's so much that happens. It's not always quick. It's the help doesn't come quickly, and it's not always funding there, for assistance like that. So what can get better? For the help to come quickly, for housing to happen quickly, for individuals to be able to continue with those payments, like for individuals to not have to feel ashamed for receiving help and assistance, and even afterwards helping to repair those things that have been broken in or that have been taken away. I think that could really help. And with employers, I know we live in a capitalistic society, with employers to have more understanding on the health and wellness of their employees.
Definitely. And there's some laws. Oh, Sambaza. Okay.
I'm gonna wonder, how would you put in for domestic violence in a FMLA form, or short-term disability? Because at that point, when you admit that, then the HR will probably look at you and say, they'll probably pull you aside and give you the programs that you need to go to. Maybe at that point you do need help, but I think there's a catch-22. I think at that point they'll tell you, okay, we cannot give you FMLA or short-term disability, but you have these programs that are available to you and that you can go to and get assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Fine line.
I'm not too versed in the laws, but even when my clients come to me because they need that from their job, it's still a difficult time. Even with grief, the death of at an old coworker, her daughter was murdered, and her supervisor had to call her because you only received 3 days of bereavement. Mm. Had to call to say, all right, it's been 3 days. You got to come back to work. So all of that needs to be changed. Even if you're an employee suffering from a mental health crisis or medical issues, you're still being looked at. I know you had surgery last week. Why can't you come in today? But your doctor said you're not having that issue. Well, I'm healed. I got stitches. I'm still bleeding. You're feeling guilty because I gotta save up my time, but I can't take my time off.
But when you look on the list of the reasons that you can use that leave for, alcoholism is on there, and depression, and even though you would think, like, if you're alcoholic, they may wonder if you're able to perform your job duties. But same thing, are you able to perform your job duties? But if that's on there as a list, then someone has to have used it, or it's allowed.
I just look at the times I am completing paperwork for my clients and they're questioning why, and it's really much scrutinized. I'm like, y'all can have them go back if you want to, but there was a reason you asked them to take time off in the first place. So we're trying to work through that. But it's difficult, and the process isn't easy. Are there scammers out there? I'm pretty sure there is. However, everyone is not, everyone's mind does not think that way, and help is definitely needed.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a really fine line, and yeah, but. Yes. Now, these programs that you have now, when you're talking about the economic impact, are there programs that would help women who are? I know they're there. Maybe you can speak to some in your local area and what they would do to help in such instances, like the process, what happens. Maybe guide us through. Like, let's say, for example, something that happened. I don't want you to use your personal one, but if you can, that's fine. But just guide us through the process where you leave, and at the point you leave, you go to a shelter. What usually happens, and then in a general area, because I know some of them, there's some information that you don't want to give out, so that whoever right. you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So here in my local area, the woman, because again, it's not too many shelters for men, so I have to use women. She has to find her own way to the shelter, for herself, and she cannot be dropped off. However, if she does find someone that she can trust to drop her off down the street, they have to get to that shelter themselves. And hopefully the perpetrator don't know where the shelter is, because you have perpetrators that will drive them around and say, I know someone who works here, and here, so try me. And so you may have to look into a different county. So you you're there at the shelter and you're working with a caseworker and or a therapist or a social worker, hopefully they are nice and respectful enough that will assist you to get on your feet and on your way with the process of having a restraining order, maybe assisting you with court if that's what you would like to do. That process can be scary also because you're in court. There's really no protections out there like that, and you're pleading your case for the protection for you and your family. There are some shelters here where you and your family can go until you are able to get on your feet, get a job, make sure the kids are in school while you're going through that process. That process is not easy. It's scary. Sometimes you feel like you're alone and you're not even sure why you did this in the first place. So however, there are programs out there. You just really have to look for them. And again, not seeing many programs for men. A lot of shelters aren't accepting single men either. It's very much discouraging. So when we have our male clients trying to get out of a situation, we really have to look extra hard and extra deep just for that. And we do have programs here in our areas and in different counties that do help women who have been in abusive or traumatic relationships.
Okay.
So for the men, they're still not having that situation resolved. It's still, but they are available. Or would you say that these would be programs, or if somebody came and said, if somebody approached you,
Mhm.
or and told you about it, you would recommend to see a church leader, or would you recommend a location, or would you recommend a close friend? Because I know, for as a man, I'm sitting here looking at him like, wow, okay,
Mhm.
what happens to a guy in such a situation?
Correct. And as therapists, we get that all the time. And we're in our groups. Hey, do you know any places where men can go, or shelters, or homes, or what have you? We are asking our resources because, and this just came up last week. So, and it's very much frustrating because where do the men go on the street? On the street, there's places like the Salvation Army or the men's program, or maybe a YMCA or YWCA. Maybe, if they still do that, maybe it can be like a group home in a sense, or renting a room or something like that. But still, it's still very much hard and difficult, and it's not a lot of support. It's not a lot of support.
Yeah, I would think some agency on along the lines of what you've mentioned would be the path that you would want to send someone on if they didn't feel comfortable coming to a family member, because I mean, really, a clergy, they're not like the old days, so they're going to probably refer you to an agency. So, but there
Mhm.
are a lot of agencies out there.
Mhm.
So, if you have a therapist or someone that can point you in the right direction, yeah.
Yeah, there are churches in the area that have a lot of programs, and that understanding will open up the doors and will assist.
So, okay, I'm
Yeah.
glad we shared about that, because so a person may find themselves in that situation, and there is a law that I want to mention along the
Mhm.
lines, McKinney-Vento, that protects children who may be displaced for homelessness because of a parent
Mhm.
going through, either mom or dad, being displaced because of a situation like this, and that will allow them to continue their education, because a lot of these schools, they want all this paperwork and all of these
Right.
things, and if you are displaced, you don't have no paperwork. You know what I mean?
You don't.
Yeah,
You
so
don't. You don't. You may leave without the paperwork because it was safer that way to do so.
correct.
Hmm.
I know a story, but this one happened in Kenya.
Hmm.
This guy was abusive to the wife, and one day he came home, got into the house, nobody showed up, nobody. Waited all night, wife and two kids, nobody showed up. Apparently, they
Hmm.
had left for America. Somehow they got away and got out to America.
Oh wow.
The guy never knew. He just sat in his house the whole day, looked for them, no trace at all.
Yeah, there are times where I remember I want to say smuggle, but someone came in, said, "Hey, this is a situation I'm going in." me and my director said, hey, you know what? Pack a bag and tell them this. And they came in the front door, went out the back, and went to a program. Their partner actually called the deputies to come and speak to us, and we said, hey, it was a domestic violence situation. He said, I got it. You don't need to say anything else.
Oh, wow.
And left, because there are times where it's really that scary and you really need to go ahead and do it. And by the time someone leaves, you just don't know how many times they have tried to leave before already. Yeah.
I have another scary one that happened. This was in Dallas, like maybe 12 years ago. So, but this was violence and was happening in the car on real time. And it was an African American lady, and she was being held at gunpoint now by the guy. I think he was chasing him, and for some odd reason, she managed to pull up in front of a cop, an older cop, and then she tried to tell him something, and the cop, I don't know what he was thinking. He drove away, and this wasn't a rookie cop. I mean, this was a cop that had spent some years, 10 plus years, and drove away. Story ended. He got fired. I don't remember what happened to the lady, but it was at that point where it kind of had a lot to say about what people know, and some police officers can miss that, and which is why I want to go back to that hand signal. It's this. You raise your hand. Can you see it like this?
Yeah.
So open palm, that and that, and you make it known. If you do that, that tells you you're in distress. You need help. So anybody who sees that might wanna look at it and know that somebody showing that needs some help. Yeah. So
thanks for checking it out for us.
Yeah, definitely. Give it to us one more time, Sambaza.
Open palm, thumb tucked underneath, and then that. If you see that, that tells you that whoever is showing you that is in distress. So you want to call 911 or ask them a question or try to make sure that they're okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. And I know we were talking
at one time. They played it on TikTok one time.
I saw that.
Two people missed it. The last guy got it. He was a waiter. And he got it, but then they told him, "Yeah, we appreciate that you picked up on it." Yeah.
Yes, because sometimes we see things on social media, we're just not sure it's true or not. However, it's great to know that hand sign is out there and it's true.
Right.
Definitely. And then we've you touched on some of the red flags and warning signs, isolation piece. You wonder why someone is kind of separate you from your people in your inner circle and things like that. Any additional thoughts on the red flags? Maybe if a friend that's going through something, like we kind of spoke a little bit about what to look out for.
Just be mindful that your friend or your family member is going through something, and it's already embarrassing. I know in my situation, I had family members say, "It's about time. It's about time you got out." And I also had someone say, "Oh, honey, I knew that's what it was. I was just waiting for you." And I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" Because I didn't even know. Like, if there's something that we don't know, tell us. Like, don't be afraid to educate your friends. Once you educate your friends or have that conversation, if that friend is like upset and cussing you out, and they're like, "Okay, I'm gonna just back up just a little bit," because it may be sensitive or something that you may not know. We've all experienced that, including myself. However, just kind of be a support, not saying that you're approving of that relationship, but hey, I'm just calling to say hi to see how you're doing. Hey, I'm just calling to check on the kids. Hey, tell everybody I said hi, so that person can actually know that I can call you when this situation is going on. I can say, hey, thank you. And I had a friend say, I appreciate you not turning your back on me or leaving me when I was still in that situation. And I said, all right, I knew what it was. I was just there. I was able to get out, and I know I was just waiting and just there to support you while you're in that situation. And then when she got out, we were able, we were so glad. We were celebrating because, one, we don't always make it out alive. And two, we never went back. There's so many people that go back because of all those economic hardships, as you were saying, Sambaza, earlier. And so many family members, they think about that, like, okay, now how is this going to affect? They play that tape all the way through and say, okay, I don't have a choice but to stay, or I don't have the support, or I don't have the strength to move forward and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And these the factors that will make you lose your friends. Like for example,
Absolutely.
if the guy is well off financially, financially whatever, has all this, and then you try to tell him, hey, you know what, this guy is borderline on you, and this
Mm-hmm.
does not look like a healthy relationship, this is too toxic, you cannot survive like this. Now for you at that point you'll be like, oh no, this one wants me to lose my relationship,
Mm-hmm.
they don't like what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
um and I'm unfortunately, when you said that some people said it was about time, we were just waiting for you to leave, we're waiting on you. I I kind of say there's that little bitty fact that when they try to help you, you really, it has to come off from you, because as much as I might try to struggle and pull you out of it, you'll still go back if you're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
There's that point where you're not ready.
But at
Right.
least you did. These people, they didn't try to help me or speak to me, so it was just. So that's why my response is, why didn't you tell me or pull me to the side? But to say something. And so when my daughter had a friend in that situation, middle school, because it doesn't happen to only an adult. Middle school, one of her friends was dating somebody. I sent her the red and green flags of dating, and I said, "Oh, honey, since you're at the age of dating, I purposely, honey, since you're at the age of dating, this is healthy relationships and unhealthy relationship characteristics and pointers. Share this with your friends. Tell everybody I said hi." I sent it to her on purpose so she can forward it and say, "Hey, my mom sent this to me, and she told me to share it with y'all." Now her friends know I'm a therapist, so they're gonna take whatever points I give them as golden. And then her friend was able to say, "Hey, I think this is me. I'm going to talk to my parents." And I was excited because if she wasn't going to tell her parents that day, I was going to talk,
Yeah.
the parents. And so it could be something as sending a YouTube video, sending there's a guy named Yellow Pain. He has a song out called I think Once You Cheat, something like that. Check him out. It can be just something as small as that TikTok videos, like, girl, check this out. Oh my gosh. Like this, I saw this today. Oh my gosh, it touched me. Or dude, man, have you seen this, man? Like, oh my gosh, have you heard about such and such? We have to say it in a way that they know that, one, you can talk to us and you can be vulnerable and open with it. It's a safe space. And two, I want to educate you also. And three, gotta make sure it's safe, because the perpetrator could be checking phones and everything like that. So you just want to make sure that when you're doing this and checking and educating your friends and trying to let them know that they have a lifeline here, you're doing it in a way that they can understand.
So what would you say, if you had people checking on you, would it
Mm-hmm.
have taken a shorter while for you to get out of your situation, or it was just a matter of time till you felt it, or what were these people talking in your ear kind of like making you realize, hey, you know what, mom told me that, I'm just giving an example, mom told me this, my
Mm-hmm.
cousin told me this last week, yeah, I saw something like that, well, maybe not. Then next week say, wait, why is everybody telling me all this and I'm not seeing this? Then you come to realize. So is it healthy to be to have that bombardment, or would you, which I guess I'm asking, which one is more preferable, or is this open, there's no formula?
It depends on the person. I would say it's no formula. However, if someone would have pulled me to the side and had a conversation, I was able to um, speak to individuals once I found out what it was. We were having conversations back and forth, and they were sharing, and I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm trying to plan it out. So help me come up with the plan. So because that's another thing, having that safety plan, trying to have a plan. The plan, it didn't work. It didn't happen. So, which was great because I got out sooner than later, because I was trying to become financially well, so I can go into an apartment with my daughter, etc. But I was homeless for a bit. I sent her to family, and I just stayed with some friends until I was able to get on my feet and stuff.
Yeah.
But it really depends on the person. Now, if family always say to you, "Hey, this happened, what's going on?" That's just normal response. But if not, you have to approach that person delicately, because again, they have to go back into that situation.
Jen, you have some questions because I have some more to ask.
No, go ahead, and we, can pivot as we get toward the. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so my and I think this goes to the ladies, who probably, maybe the listeners and viewers, if you have anything to share, this might be one of the things that we'd like to know. Now, post having this situation, I know we all need love. We all need to get healed. And when you come out of such a situation, the next person, they tell you, don't carry this to the next person. Now, that is still one of those things where you say, okay, fine, you don't want to carry to the next person, but you have to guard yourself. The red and green flags were there. But there's a tendency where some women, not most of them, not all of them, will have this situation where they still carry the experience they had with what had happened before, which is natural. That's human. That's human nature. Do we have anything that, like a program that tells you, hey, you've gone through this, this is what you need to do going forward, love yourself, love everybody, but make sure you have these goals in mind? Because somebody might be there rightly for you this time, but you make it so difficult for them to love you for who you are. They don't care about the experience that they not that they don't care about the experience. They care about you, and they care about the experience that you have, but they're trying to give you or show you love. But your hindrance is with what you have received before. Now, are there programs, or what would you advise? And if not, what would you advise somebody who's going through that?
Absolutely. I personally teach a couple of groups for women for that specific reason. Because so think of the Erykah Badu bag lady, and how she talks about the lady having all of those bags. If you do not see a therapist, like if you don't come to us and be honest with us, so we can show you what you did not see. We can teach you the signs so it will not happen again. We can teach you how to look at yourself and see what was going on with you, that you were in this situation and that you were in this situation for a certain number of years. We have to work through that. Now, there are individuals who don't want to do that because therapy is still a taboo. Who, okay, you know what? I'm good. Or you know what? At least they like me, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it and try it out. However, I teach on that. I have a group called Heal, Empower, Release. That's a 6-week group. And I'm going to teach a masterclass in a couple of weeks to teach women in regards to that. Because there are so many values that families do not teach children. And so we become adults and we're out here. We're outside, we're meeting. We don't know. We don't know. Now, as far as the program, I'm not sure. I know there's a couple of women's shelters here in Tampa that has classes that do teach that. As far as a national program, I'm not too for sure if there's a national program about that. And that's why when I learn something for my male clients and female clients, I'm teaching them. And the teaching is a relearning. So you have to unlearn what you already know and be open-minded to inputting. You are worthy. Those affirmations for yourself, loving yourself. You can have boundaries. I don't care how old you are. You can create a boundary for yourself. Once you start telling people no, it will become uncomfortable. However, this is what you need to continue to move forward. And please do not bring any unhealthy baggage, male or females, into the next relationship. There are females out there who will get into a healthy relationship. They don't know. And they mess it up. Same with men. They don't know, they mess it up. Or they're on that female. Well, all these other women treated me this way. Well, I'm not. I don't even. Why I have to be compared to the other females? Or why do I have to be compared to the other men? Go see Denise and her colleagues. Like, we will help get you right. We will say, sit down. You don't need to date. Like, I guarantee we'll help get you right. You won't regret it because you need this for yourself and your future generations.
Now, your program, is this an online program or something local?
It's an online program.
Okay,
I
so
do
if
it. I
people,
do it virtually. I have not done it in person yet because when it started it was during COVID, so it's
Mhm.
just been virtual.
Nice. So that's
Okay.
something that people can, take advantage of, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. But you're so right, Sambaza. We have to take that moment to heal. When we say heal, it's not just a small period of time. It's lifelong, and it goes on and on. And once we have worked through so many things, that grief, that loss, getting that identity back, or getting your identity and having your boundaries and learning to trust yourself again, you're able to move forward and begin to have healthy relationships with everyone in your life, not just romantic partners, with everyone in your life. And then some things may come up, and it's okay. However, the goal is not to take everything out on that next person who's healthy for you. And then, like you said, somebody, you won't miss out on your chance to have love and healthy love in your life and healthy relationships.
So now we've talked about the I think we've gone through 3 stages. We've gone to the part of how you get out. Now the
Mhm.
post. Now it's the woman we've concentrated. Now let's go to the kids.
Mhm.
The kids. Do we have things that we do to help the kids understand that this is not right? You can change this for your life, because there's
Mhm.
one thing that is always talked about, and this is what you call it, generational curse.
Yes.
Chances are the lady who, or the daughter who, or the boy who saw the dad abusing or the mom being abused
Mhm.
tends to kind of go that way. Not all the time, but
Mhm.
uh, it's been known to have some similar cases.
Absolutely.
Um, how do we have how do we have this stopped, or how do we have this kind of stopped and not have what we call the generational curse, if there's
The
anything like
cycle.
that happens?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it does. And it's also not only individual therapy, but also family therapy. Because if that is not, if that does not happen as the child, becomes older and get into relationships, then they'll come and see us and say, this is what I saw growing up. And I started doing this, so I don't want that anymore. Or this is what I saw growing up, and that's why I don't want any children or relationships. And so we have to talk about that. That family also needs to talk to that child and children about healthy relationship. What does that look like? Even within the family. I may not want to hug Uncle Earl or sit on his lap. Why do I gotta hug Auntie Lucy all the time? That's letting the child know that even if you say no, you still have to do it because someone is telling you to do it, or an adult is. It's also teaching that child that this is not your fault. There are so many adults that'll say, "Man, if I was strong enough, I would have been able to protect my parent." You mean you when you were 5 and you were children?
Mm.
Are you going to fight an adult? It's a lot of misplaced guilt that
Mhm.
individuals feel on themselves as well. And again, like one thing I had to do with my daughter was teach her. I brought up real life examples. One, I apologize to her for having her in that situation. Bring up real life examples that she can remember, and I teach her this was not right. That's not healthy. This is how you can look for that. And she does a great job of picking her friends and her partners. So I was not ashamed to share my story. I'm not ashamed to share my story or scared to apologize to her or let her know, hey, this is not right. This wasn't healthy. And I have to teach that. Or like you said, Sambaza, it will continue generationally. We've seen it in the Bible, we see it in real life.
And Miss Denise,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your story with us.
Absolutely.
That is something personal
Absolutely.
that you didn't have to share, and we appreciate that, for sure.
Absolutely. I
Yeah, 'cause
appreciate
I have I would tell you that I have something that's close to heart that's happening.
it. Hmm.
And my thing is, I've had to remove the child off of that situation, and be- my fear is for the child to see, well, has witnessed it, hopefully that it kind of goes away from their memory as they grow older. But I know that's not, but
Mhm.
hopefully things will be better in that situation. So when I'm asking those questions, it does affect me in some type of way. And I'm glad that you actually um brought up this situation. And this is not a medical intervention, or is not. So anyone listening right now, this is not for a diagnosis or anything like that. I think we have given you the numbers to call
Mhm.
if you are
Absolutely.
suspecting of domestic violence. I think did I get the number? You got the number, right?
Yes.
There's a 24-hour number that we should. I think we should go back to it and give the disclaimer. Um, the domestic violence line, I got it. It's 1-800-799-7233, or you can text begin with 88788. That's help available 24 hours a day. So what you were giving us is just examples that you can look into, but it's not a diagnosis. So people, just if you're listening or you're watching, if you feel that that's something that you need to look into, that's where you can get some help. And please do get help, because it's these things are tend to be fatal at some point in time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What I wanted to say about the children don't forget. And when children are comfortable, they will speak. No matter where they are,
Mm.
they will speak. So children will just say things at the oddest times. I was working with a family and in the grocery store telling the aunt, remember when the police came to our house? And the police wasn't even at our house. So loud. So now everybody is looking. Why was the police at your house last? Police came to our house last night because, and it was just going on. Or, we were coloring and she started speaking and I see the aunt's face, but for me as a therapist, I'm thinking, well, this is what she's supposed to do. And the aunt is like, she's not supposed to know that. I'm like, well, okay, guys. The children, they don't forget. She was 3. Children don't forget.
Mhm.
They will talk. And when they are comfortable and safe, they will definitely speak. And it's up to us to support them in that. Definitely support them in that.
I agree. And you mentioned briefly about boundaries and letting your child or children in your circle in your life know that, you know, about touching, you don't have to give everybody a hug, even if it's Thanksgiving, Christmas,
Yes.
if you don't feel comfortable in your space, it may not even just be like, being cautious of uncle such and such, just, you may not want someone in your space, and it's okay to tell a child that boundary they can set. I don't want to give Aunt Lucy or Uncle Bob a hug, or sit on their lap.
Right. Because why are they there anyway?
Mhm.
Actually, we do have a cultural thing that we are changing
Mm-hmm.
right now. I'm seeing
Mm-hmm.
it with the younger generation of Africans, in the diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
where yeah, a child is allowed to say no, they don't want to, but it's borderline. You see, the problem with us as now as immigrants, we came from the situation where you have to say, when somebody greets you, you have to greet them. When a male figure came around the house, your mom would introduce him as Uncle so and so.
Mm.
Now, are they really your uncle? So we've kind of, I've noticed the younger generation having gotten away from using the word uncle unless it's a real
Mm-hmm.
uncle. And if it's so and so, it's Mr. So and so. And you leave it at Mr. So and so. Now, if they become your significant other, that's when they change and become somebody else. But you don't call anybody uncle. I still have that issue with the older generation. Now, I'll tell you this. I was at a party. This, this, this was kind of weird. So I was at a party and I didn't know these people. This was the first time I knew these people. And the kid was there. We were just sitting at a bonfire and we were just talking. And then the dad came and said, "Oh, say hi to Uncle so and so." And I was like, "Wait a minute, you call me Uncle so and so." I understood the context, but I had to step back, and then I kind of stopped and introduced myself as Mr. So and so, because I know, let me leave it at that, not move it to a situation where you don't just, not everybody's called uncle. Call me Mr. So and so. Even if you can refer to me as Mr. Steven, I'll take that. But just don't use uncle, because I think validly, you just don't throw that name anywhere. It means something. So if you make that name mean something, it will create a boundary where, yes, there's a relationship between here and Auntie so and so. There's a relationship. You don't just mix them all and make it like it's open. It's open season for everybody to be called uncle and auntie. So that's one of the things that we have to deal with, and I'm glad that we're changing it. Hopefully, it will manifest in the upcoming generation.
That also happens in the Black American culture too. uncles, and saying no, or talking, asking a question is talking back. And I'm 46, so that was talking back. You couldn't do that. And so now we're teaching our children it's okay to ask a question respectfully, in a way, like change the tone and respectfully say something, and just take your parent to the side and ask, hey, what happened with this, that, or the other. There are some individuals who still find that disrespectful. However, when the children's in the home and interacting with you, you're the first line of adult that they can conversate with. So they can't conversate with you in a healthy way. They can't go outside of the home and conversate with their teachers or other adults. Mm-hmm.
Good point. Good point.
Man, I like the conversation. It was
Yeah, it's
really,
great. It's great.
yeah, a lot of topics, a lot of things to learn, and like you say, learn and unlearn.
Yes.
And I'm glad you were here, Sambaza, as a Black man, and to have this, because you don't see that conversation being had in mixed. I want to say mixed company, but you don't, and I
Right.
appreciate your perspective here. So
Yeah,
Welcome.
great questions. Those great questions. A lot of time, the men we work with, they don't have a safe space or a place to share so much, or it's men are looked at as weak, or as not a man, or
true.
as what's sassy now, sassy, or whatever they say now.
That
Oh,
actually
Nowadays,
came up.
it's and so whatever, I'm telling you, whatever happens on the earth comes into the therapy room, and we're having to mitigate, and we're like, wait, flag on the play, time out. That's not real. It's not real life, and we have to really work with these individuals, male and female alike. So I appreciate the questions. Thank you.
Right. I think that actually did come up in a group that we were in. It's one of
Mhm.
those clubhouse groups that we sat down, and these are the younger generation, and they were talking about what happens, especially men, kind of coming out and talking about abuse, whether all those forms of abuse. For a man to come out and talk about it, it's really hard because most of us men would kind of, I'm not going to say, well, it depends on how you relate to the people and who you're going to relate to. I think at some point, I don't know, whether it's a stranger, maybe a stranger may be the only one to help you, because a stranger will not know who you are from, maybe they'll look
Mhm.
at you like, wow, okay, why are you asking me this? Sometimes as a friend, you might take it like a joke or look at it differently,
Mhm.
or hold out on something because of the relationship you have with the other person. And this is one thing that I've always found out regarding anything to do with the domestic violence. It
Mhm.
is not as complex as what we say. People say it's like a cut dry black and white. There are so many gray areas that come into being that have to be taken into consideration. And that's why when you say it, somebody can leave. You don't have money, you don't have a place to be, you're going to be homeless, you don't have education, you're not going to get a job. Okay, you
Right.
leave. Okay, I disappear. Maybe this is a job that I've had for a long time that would feed these kids, and it's a bigger issue than just one thing. And I was so glad that like again I say, I was so glad that you were able to come in and give us this knowledge that we will keep up, and have people listening in and watching it, and be able
Absolutely.
to get something out of it and to help somebody else.
for sure,
Absolutely. Thank you for
definitely.
having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, for sure. Um, let's
Now,
see.
for the fun stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Whew.
No, there are no bells. No bells this
Oh,
time. We're not ringing any bells.
okay.
I know I got you on that one.
Yes.
Well, um,
Okay.
people want to know. You have some nice programs. You discuss about these programs that I think you've alluded to some right now
Yep.
regarding what you do.
Yeah.
And now, give us a whole. We gave you this beginning part where we said all these nice things. Jen actually had this whole script for you and talked about what you do, but she didn't explain the nitty gritty, right? She just gave us the flowery part. So now, tell us the rest of the part that she was starting you off with regarding what you do, how people can reach you, your socials and stuff like that.
Yes, I'll say absolutely. So I'm a licensed mental health counselor, in Florida. I say the great state of Florida. I'm based locally in Tampa, and I see clients virtually or in person. I do accept insurance and also private pay. And what me and my team have been doing this year is a Healing the Generation seminar. So in March, we did our mother and daughter relationship seminar. In June, we held our father and son relationship seminar. In September, we're going to hold our father and daughter relationship seminar. And in December, we're going to hold our mother and son relationship seminar. So it's our goal to heal the generations. It's our goal to let people know what's healthy, what's not healthy, and hopefully break a lot of those generational curses.
Nice.
It's also our goal that both, like for the father and daughter, that they both can come. But if not, and if only one come just so you can learn how to move forward in your life. A group that I have is called Heal Empower Release. So far I have that group for women. I have not developed or created a group for men yet at this time, but it's something I am working on. And it's a 6-week group. That one is virtual. And we speak about affirming themselves, like forgiving yourself, and just having those boundaries after you're out of that abusive relationship, that unhealthy relationship, so you can be ready to have healthy relationships. Because many times what we have seen is if you have an unhealthy, intimate relationship, many of your relationships are unhealthy, whether it's with family or your peers or your jobs. So, I have that. So I'll look out for that. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Grow, Empower, Transform Therapy. And I'll put all of my links there. I'll put my email address, phone number, and also the website. If you want to get in touch with me and you're looking for a therapist and you're not in Florida, I have colleagues like all over the states, all over, in Tampa or what have you. And I will definitely point you in the right direction. Like, we want you to come speak to us. We want you to be healed. I have created 2 journals. I'm working on 2 more so I can put those out there. I do speaking engagements at churches and in the community. I do vendor events also.
Okay. Excellent. We will have the links in the show notes too.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And then we have Crimson Bros Network, who came in and said, "What's up? What's up, Crimson Bros Network? Pleasure to have you here. Thank you for joining the conversation."
Yes.
Right. Excellent. All right. Well, we thank Miss Denise D. Moore, for sharing her expertise with us. Okay, she is sharing some information in the chat, so on the YouTube, and we'll have that information also on the show notes, as we mentioned. You can give us a minute, we'll have that audio episode up shortly.
Awesome.
All right, and then let's see. Anything else you want to share, Denise?
I love to say, remember to love yourself, remember to forgive yourself, and remember to be proud of yourself. Thank you.
Love that. Sambaza.
I love that. Jen, I wanted to say, nice conversation. Loved it. My podcast birthday is coming soon. Ooh, let's not forget I'm an ambassador for the Afros and Audio AFAU 2024 SBZ. That's the code, 15% off. And is it today the 18th?
No.
No.
Don't do that. It's not the 18th yet. Sunday, hopefully. Sunday.
All right. There's gonna be a flash sale. So they're gonna throw in a flash sale where they're gonna give some money off. So if you're online, or you're listening to this, hopefully you can catch it before August the 18th. And hey, this will be yours for the taking. Awesome. So hopefully we'll meet you, Denise, over there. If not, hey, maybe some other time, but would love to have you there. As an ambassador, like I said, I always have to invite everyone and anyone who's in the DC area or anywhere around the US. Please show up and let's have some fun with African American podcasting, Black podcasters, and hey, is all that. Anybody's welcome. Right.
And
Absolutely.
Sambaza is referring to a podcast festival. I don't know if he made that explicit when he was speaking
Link,
on.
link. You put the links.
Okay, I'll put the links, but he was mentioning a
Absolutely.
upcoming African American podcast festival, which we would actually love to discuss more on that festival and its origins and such, because it's really a great part of the culture, and we definitely love to have conversations with content creators, which Miss Moore is a content creator in her own right as well. So shout out to her. Love to hear about that podcast and more. Any updates?
Are you talking to me, right?
To me some more? Since we're on the subject.
Oh my gosh. Okay, everybody, I do have a podcast, and I say it's stagnant because I have not recorded and posted in a while, so that's why I say that. But it is called
You're on
Human
a
Power
podcast
Radio.
right now.
Yes, I am. I have done interviews. However, I do have one, and we cover mental health topics. It's not a substitute for therapy, but we do cover those topics. So if you have any questions in regards to mental health, I'll definitely will talk about that on the podcast. And so stay tuned, because I will start promoting our father and daughter relationship seminar, because that's so important. That is so important. That's so important.
It is.
Excellent. All right.
All right, Jen,
Sambaza.
take us home.
Okay, so we appreciate everyone for joining us with the content and topic that we had today. We hope that today's conversation has inspired or enlightened you. If you found the episode meaningful, please consider sharing it with your friends, family, colleagues. Our collective awareness and advocacy plays a crucial role in creating positive change. So please stay tuned for more engaging content, and we look forward to continuing these important conversations in the future. So again, kudos to everyone, and thank you, Miss Denise Moore. Thank the viewers for tuning in, and until next time, please stick around as we give you our proper farewell, and take care, guys.
Bye.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out, and also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms, and please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening, and take care.